What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Justin here, and in today's video we're going to talk about my first 29-gallon saltwater fish tank. The pros and cons to saltwater tanks versus freshwater tanks, the expenses, are they easy, are they hard? We're going to talk about it all. And I'm just going to hint one little thing. It's been pretty easy for me so far. I've actually been surprised. I've had good success with the livestock, the corals, and just general maintenance and chemistry of saltwater. It's been pretty easy so far. I don't know if I've gotten lucky, but I'm going to share some tips with you if you want to set up a saltwater tank, or if you just want to watch this video and see the pretty fish and the corals. Thanks for watching the video. I'm going to be doing more videos like this because right here behind me is a huge stand. You can't really see it all. It's 6 foot long, and it's going to be a 125-gallon saltwater fish tank. Now, yes, it's going to be expensive. I'm saving up some money, but it's going to be right here. These pictures are going to go in there. But yeah, that's one thing coming up on the channel. But for now, let's talk about the 29-gallon tank and how it's been relatively successful and pleasurable so far. All right, guys, welcome to my 29-gallon tank. Now, I went to the local fish store and I started this tank with live rock. This is man-made reef rock, but that is good and sustainable for our oceans. I bought it from the fish store live, so that helped jump the nitrogen cycle. If you don't know anything about the nitrogen cycle, that is the #1 important step to starting a tank, and understanding that cycle is very, very important. This is not this video to explain it, but definitely before you start a tank, do your research on the nitrogen cycle in a saltwater tank. On the back, I have a hang-on back refugium. This cleans the water a little bit, but mainly I have a canister filter underneath that cycles this tank at least 10 times per hour. It is a 295, gallon per hour tank. So if you do the math, that's 10 times per hour, which is super, helpful on keeping a stable tank. And yeah, a canister filter on a small tank like this is the way to go, being though I can't put a sump on this tank. I went with a canister, and so far so good. I'm gonna keep the bio load down, and hopefully the fish and corals stay happy. Okay, so the lighting on this tank is the Fluval Marine 3.0. I love this light. It has good features, a Bluetooth app and all that. While it's not the brightest light out there, it grows easy corals, which that's what I am as a beginner. I'm gonna get easy corals, and I just like the usability of it. It is kind of expensive for the brightness, but it's kind of worth it, and it's been good so far. So currently I'm running a salinity of 1.025. That's good for the fish and corals, and a temperature of 79-ish. It fluctuates on small tanks, but it stays pretty stable with a degree or two. And I am running an auto top-off system, which has helped a lot, and that's the biggest problem with nano tanks and evaporation. So there's a sensor right there that I'm pointing at that senses the water level, and when fresh water evaporates out of the tank, I say fresh water because the salt remains in the tank, but water, H2O, evaporates out, and that bucket has fresh water in it. Let me say that again. It has fresh water in it that pumps back into the tank once the sensor senses that it has evaporated, to keep your salinity stable. That is really important. So for livestock, as you can see, I have 2 clownfish. These are designer clownfish. As you know, they don't look exactly like Nemo. They are kind of exotic. They're snow onyx clowns, and in that video you just saw them do some twitching, which is actually like a dominance thing. They're trying to declare dominance on which one's going to be the female, which one's going to be the male. I know that sounds weird, but they actually change their gender. The dominant one will become the female, which is really weird to me, but it's kind of cool that they can do that. So I'm not big on naming fish, but my girlfriend decided we should name these, and she came up with the great names of Chonko and Cheese Nip. Now we have to wait to figure out which one's the male and female, but yes, meet Chonko and Cheese Nip, the lovely clownfish. Next, we have a bicolor blenny in the tank. It is a very personable fish. It's kind of cool. It hides a lot, but it pops its little head out and swims around and pecks at rocks. Keeps things clean. It's kind of an algae eater, and it's just got a lot of personality. It's kind of shy, so it's kind of cool to hunt around and look for it, but it's a pretty cool fish, pretty easy to keep so far. It's done well. Lastly, for the fish, you will see a yellow chorus wrasse in the tank. It's an awesome little fish. He picks at the rock work, eats any pests, hair out, or I don't know about what algae yet, but they're supposed to be like cleaners, so to say. They'll eat the bad stuff. And yeah, they are okay for nano tanks, but I'm gonna eventually move him in the 125. They like to swim around a lot and interact with the rock work, which is cool. One thing to note is this video, or a lot of these clips, have been shot in super slow motion, so these fish do move faster than the video perceives. But this fish interacts with the rocks, he swims around a lot, he hides in the sand at night, so if he goes missing, don't be worried. He's just hiding in the sand for whatever reason. They sleep in the sand, and sometimes they go missing for days, but it's their normal habit. Next, let's talk about the corals in this tank. I've picked some easy corals, one being the green star polyp. You can see the clownfish like to, swim around it. I don't know if they're trying to host it, but you will see here in this video where he kind of brushes up against it. And I don't know if that's why they're doing the twitching or it's the mating thing. I think it's a mating thing, but they seem to be trying to host it, maybe. I don't know, they just hang out over the top of it, which is cool. The next coral, these zoanthids here, they have been pretty hard. They haven't liked something. They just started coming out in the last few days, but they still don't have much color. And they're alive, but they're not super happy. They're a cool coral. They are very toxic though. Wear gloves when handling them. That is one thing you must know. They're kind of dangerous. And last, the Kenya tree. It's been awesome since day one. It waves around. It looks really cool. And yeah, that's the 3 corals that I have in here so far, and they've all done well. The only thing I had to dial off was some zinnia, which is really weird. Look up what zinnia is. Most people, it grows like a weed. For me, it died within a matter of days. Alright guys, so hopefully I've inspired you to maybe get into the saltwater hobby, or maybe you've just enjoyed looking at the pretty fish and corals. But I would like to say a few things. If you are looking to get into the hobby, do research. I promise you, for every few hours you spend doing research, you're going to save a few $100s. I would also like to go over some of the costs, because I will be straightforward and say it is expensive. There's no way around it. If you want to, treat your fish and corals right and not have things die, it's going to be kind of expensive versus freshwater in my experience. So some of the things that I'm going to go over are going to be your live rock. I'm going to start off with that. You need about a pound per gallon of water that you have. So in my case, I put about 25 pounds of live rock in here. You can start with dry. It's just gonna, and a lot of experienced people start with dry rock due to it not having any pest on it. I went with live rock in my first tank, and maybe that I'll pay for it later, but I haven't noticed any pests so far that came in on the rock. But it is more expensive to start with live rock, but you will save some time in the nitrogen cycle, cycling the tank, so to say. Do a lot of research on that. That's one thing you really need to do research on. But so first off is the rocks. That cost a lot. Second would be the lights. Just the light on this little tank. I mean, it's a 24-inch light, I believe, and it costs $200. And I don't know why LED light fixtures are so much, but they are compared to freshwater systems. I mean, it's just how it is. So yes, the light costs $200. That's a big expense versus, I'm not really used to that in the freshwater world. Thirdly would be the filter. I went with a high-powered, good quality canister filter underneath this tank because I have no room for a sump. So I went with a canister filter, and it's done all right so far. It is more maintenance than a sump. I need to get in there and clean it out once every 2 weeks to a month, which isn't that big of a deal. Now, one big thing that I'm going to mention real quick, and then I'm going to go back to some of the cost, would be the water changes on freshwater tanks versus saltwater tanks. So on the saltwater tank, you need to watch a video on how to cycle a tank, but after you cycle your tank, for the average person, it's good to change the water about every 2 weeks. Just, you know, buy some little test kits, get the local fish store to test your water for you, but you need to change your water. That's the best way to ensure no problems, is changing your water out. So, man, where am I at? Okay, other things to worry about when it comes to this saltwater hobby versus freshwater is the auto top off mechanism. So that cost me roughly $50-$60. You can buy them pretty cheap on Amazon. Also, you're gonna have expenses on power heads. You know, power heads are the little things that blow the water around. It's like an underwater fan. It moves water around. That is essential for the corals, and the fish like it too, because in the ocean there's obviously natural currents. So I'm not even recording. Yes, I am. So other than that, you have salt. You have to consider the salt. It's not that expensive. It comes out to like, I think it's like 30 cents a gallon. And yeah, that's really the main expenses, is the live rock, the light, the filter has to be pretty good, and the auto top off system. Those are the things that have kind of hit me that freshwater tanks don't have. You need to have a good heater on the tank as well, and you should be pretty good. Hopefully I've inspired somebody out there to get into the saltwater hobby. I've enjoyed it a lot. I just enjoy, you know, kind of tinkering, I guess, piddling with all this, keeping it all intact, having such a complex system and controlling it. Now, I did say just right then, it is pretty complex. I'm not gonna lie. You have to keep all your water levels stable, but there's so much information out on, you know, the internet these days, whether it be from YouTube or forums or whatever. It is complex, but with a little research, it's super easy to learn this stuff, and we have a lot of resources to do so. So I hope you like this video. So in the future, I plan on setting up this 125 gallon tank, and it's going to be a big build. I've already ordered some of the rock. This time I did go with dry rock, and it is much cheaper. I got it for like $2 a pound, and I found a really good deal on Amazon. That's the only reason I didn't buy from my local fish store. I do like to buy a lot of the equipment and fish and all that from my local fish store. Support your local businesses, that's always important, but I couldn't pass up this offer. I think there's a glitch on Amazon, and I bought like 80 pounds of this rock for like $160, which is like $2 a pound, which is really good. And yes, I've already started to sculpt it and try to figure out how I want to put it. I'm waiting on the fish store to get my tank in. I've ordered it, and they are going to drill the overflows. I am going to run a sump on this next tank because it is so big. Sump is just the way to go. And yeah, so thank you all for watching this video. More on the 125 gallon build later on. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I've inspired somebody out there to get a fish tank, or just, you know, fresh or salt water. You'll enjoy it, I promise you. And yeah, it's a good, clean pastime, and you'll meet a lot of cool people in the hobby. I have, and I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I'm going to end it here. Let me know in the comments what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of, and all that stuff. Things I can improve on, and maybe things I did well. So thanks, guys, and see you next video.